Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. This is ACES TIF, Choose Your Own Adventure. I hope you've had a great morning and enjoyed lunch, and now you can kind of sit back and relax and learn more about ACES TIF. So my name is Carly Voshell. I've been working with Atlas for 1 year, and my role there is as transitions coordinator. And if you've heard of transitions in adult education, maybe you're new and this idea keeps coming up and you're kind of wondering what it is. In a nutshell, transitions means adult education students who are leaving the classroom and headed to work, training, or college. And there are specific skills that those students will need to be successful. And that's the type of training that I help to coordinate at Atlas. I'm going to make a shameless plug for this resource that's linked here with information about professional development dates throughout this year and several resources, some of which we're going to talk about today, but related to transitions, not just ACES TIF, but many other things that you might want to check out. The slides are in Sched, and they're clickable PDFs. You can go to the links, save them, and keep them organized for your next adventure, right? So besides my work at Atlas, the other thing that I really need to start this presentation with is that I am what's called an old millennial. So I'm a millennial based on my generation, but I'm kind of on the older end. And I want to tell you about a little piece of my childhood, which is just so memorable for me, playing the Oregon Trail. And the other thing, kind of along that same line, was this book series that I read that was called Choose Your Own Adventure. And so maybe you're familiar with those things, but if you're not, I'm going to just kind of recap it real briefly. And then I am going to make a bridge to ACES TIF. Don't worry, okay? We will get there. But Oregon Trail was a game. We played it at school on a big computer, super bulky. You would create characters in the game that were like your family, and you were on this epic journey on the Oregon Trail. And I would put in my name, and I would put in my brother's name and my best friend's name, and then you would be on this adventure. You would have to decide, are you going to stop at the trading post here, or are you going to continue on to the next one? How many supplies are you going to buy? Are you going to cross the river here, or are you going to travel 50 more miles to get to a smaller part of the river? You'd have to make all of these choices, right? And depending on your choices, there were outcomes, there were consequences. And sometimes those consequences were falling in the river and you lost somebody in your party, or there was somebody dies of smallpox and things like that. So it was a true adventure of like epic, tragic proportions, right? Kind of along the same lines with this book series called Choose Your Own Adventure. Everybody starts at page 1, you read a couple pages, and the end of the chapter has a choice. Do you want to walk into the deep, dark forest, or are you going to go into this cave? You make a choice, you skip to a certain page, and then the story continues. And sometimes the story ends up, you walk into the cave, a bear eats you. That's the end of the story. You're going to have to go back to page 1, make some different choices, and you'll have a different type of adventure. So right now you might be thinking, Carly, what are you talking about? Great example from your childhood, but how does this relate? Well, I'm gonna try to make that connection here for you. In my mind, any type of professional development is kind of a choose your own adventure. And here are some of those principles that I like to go by. And we're going to kind of follow this as a general outline for the presentation. Today, I'm going to share lots of options, right? Some options are going to work for you and others won't. don't worry, nobody's going to die of smallpox or get eaten by a bear, right? You're going to make a plan. And then when you start working that professional development plan, you might have to pivot. You might make a choice, oh, this really isn't a good fit. And so be nimble and make a different choice, backtrack, start over. But ultimately, we always want to be having fun on this journey of professional development. So that's the goal really with today, right? Our first adventure is going to be a little bit of a game. So I'm going to kind of stretch this out so people can grab their phone. Hopefully you have it handy. And I've got a QR code on the screen. That's probably going to be the easiest way to join our Kahoot game. Okay. So let's do that now. And I am going to exit full screen. So you can scan the QR code, or I have the link shared in the chat. Oh, look at you guys. Feel free to use your name, first and last name, initials. I think I put my initials on there. But I can see everybody joining. That's great. We'll give it another minute or two. This is a fun game where we're going to learn a little bit about ACES TIF. It's okay if you get all the questions wrong. You're going to know more at the end of it than where you start, and that's really the goal. Okay, we've got so many players. This is going to be really fun. I love all your little avatars. It looks like it's kind of slowing down. But I want to give people maybe 30 more seconds to join. Thank you so much for just jumping right into this after lunch, you guys. I'm impressed. Okay. I think we're going to be able to get started. So there's 5 questions, okay? So you're going to want to see the screen, and then you're going to answer on your phone. There's 4 options. ACES is an acronym that stands for, and here are your 4 choices, 4 different colors, 4 different shapes. Go ahead and answer. You've got 10 more seconds. Here we go. Okay, everybody did so well. It's okay. Everybody really got the right answer, right? Although in this context of adult education, I have blue as the correct answer. So ACES is an acronym that stands for Academic, Career, and Employability Skills. It was kind of a trick question, you guys, because probably many of you have heard of adverse childhood experiences in the red option. That's another acronym that's actually called ACES, although it's capital ACE lowercase s. And chances are through other professional development, you've maybe encountered that. Our presentation today is going to be on academic, career, and employability skills. And nobody fell for my silly answers there about Ace hardware stores or Ace's casino, because that was something that came up when I Googled Aces. So everybody is off to a great start. If you are able to answer super fast, then you're going to be at the top of the leaderboard here. It's not a competition, it's just a fun game. So we'll just keep going. Question number 2. The goal of ACES is to support instructors in teaching, and you have 4 options, 4 different colors, 4 different shapes. About 10 more seconds. Here we go. People are doing really great. The correct answer is in blue. The goal of ACES is to support teachers in teaching hard to define yet needed skills to succeed in work, college, and community. There's a couple other that I kind of think that some people kind of assume sometimes about ACES. specifically the one in yellow, that ACES TIF is really just for advanced students, or ACES TIF is really just for career classes, career pathway classes, or a certain type of student at a certain type of level. But that is not the case. You can incorporate and integrate ACES into all different levels. And it's really sometimes called soft skills, you know, professional communication, note-taking skills, time management, navigation skills. They're things that are kind of hard to define, but they're completely essential in being a functioning adult, having a job, taking kids to the doctor, just navigating a lot of different things that we do in life. Here we are with the leaderboard. Okay. Heather, it's impressive how high your score is. Great job. We're on our third question now. The Transitions Integration Framework, also known as the TIF. And here are 4 different statements. You're looking for the best answer here. And we're going to talk through the others and why they're not correct. Here we go. Great job, everybody. Green is the best answer. The TIF defines the soft skills and professional skills needed for work or training. But let's look at a couple of these other options, just because there's kind of some hidden facts about ACES TIF in here. With red, I was kind of going for like 2 truths and a lie. The TIF was developed in 2012. It was revised in 2016. And instead of it's due for an update, it actually was updated in 2023, just last year. And I have the updated version. I think it's going to be shared in the chat. As the updated TIF at a glance. So that's a great thing to have favorited somewhere on your computer so that you can easily get back to it. The yellow one was kind of just a throwaway question, but it's not short for anybody named Tiffany. The blue answer, I said, is a national resource developed by Links. Well, Links is a great national organization that puts out a lot of training materials, especially related to career pathway work. But the TIF is from Minnesota, so we can kind of celebrate that it's homegrown and it was developed by ABE practitioners like yourselves. So yay for that. Here we are. Oh, somebody's getting real fast with their questions and answers. We've got 2 more questions. The TIF is divided into, and the image there is meant to be like a hint, right? But hopefully those other options are kind of making you think here. How is the TIF divided up? Okay, yes, the correct answer is 6 categories. I was trying to trip people up with, yes, there are 6 NRS levels, but that doesn't relate to TIF. Yes, ACES TIF is one of the 3 content standards. And I wish I could have a picture there, so I'm just going to pop over to this other screen that shows the categories. Here they are: critical thinking, developing a future pathway, effective communication, learning strategies, navigating systems, and self-management. Those are the categories that the TIF is broken down into. And if you look more at this document, at the skills and the sub-skills, you're going to see activities that you're doing in class, and you're going to see opportunities to do even more. But that's how we break down TIF into those 6 categories. Here's the leaderboard. Okay, one more question, and it's true or false. The 6 TIF categories can be integrated into all levels of instruction. True or false? I think we've got all the answers, but we're going to let the time run down. Here we go. Yay. That was like what I want everybody to leave this session with, right? ACES TIF is for everyone. Whether you are teaching beginning English or GED or high school equivalency, career pathway, it's for every level, right? It's also something that you can integrate whether your class is online or in person or somewhere in between. Okay, drum roll, please. Here is the podium. You just get bragging rights. So, way to go. SR, JT, and oh gosh, who's it going to be? The spotlight. LT, yay! Okay, well, thank you for playing that game with me. I always love a good game. And congratulations to our fast-fingered people here. You did a great job. We are going to continue on and start to look a little bit closer at some of the great ACES TIF resources that you have available to you. And in your mind, you can be thinking like, oh, hey, yeah, that's a great fit for me, for what I'm trying to accomplish. You might see some things that, oh, that really isn't for me. That doesn't work with my schedule. This is choose your own adventure. So you are going to pick and choose between the things that work, pass on the things that don't. And you can always be utilizing one or to try them all. So these are the four main things that we're going to cover today. We're going to look at the Canvas course for ACES TIF Foundations. We're going to talk through a webinar series that's coming this fall. We're going to look at the YouTube channel. And we're also going to explore the Atlas website. So that is where we're headed. So first things first, we have the Canvas ACES TIF Foundations course. So this is an asynchronous course. It starts with a short introduction where you dig a little bit deeper into, how was ACES TIF developed? Where did it come from? Why do we need those skills in class? And then you're going to see all 6 of the categories, but you are going to only pick 3 of them to go through those modules on the Canvas course. So that's one thing that sometimes people miss that part. You're going to pick 3 out of the 6 to review. When you go through that content, and then there's a final assignment that we're going to actually look at a little bit together, you will earn 6 CEUs for completing that course. And I think the link is being shared in the chat. And now would be a great time to go ahead and enroll in that course. And it just takes like a minute or 2. And while you do that, I am going to share my screen and show you a little bit of the course, just so you kind of know what you're in for, okay? You might have noticed that many of the PD providers are using Canvas. So there's courses on here for Panda, for digital literacy, for volunteer training, all on Canvas. So it is something you're probably going to have to experience at some point. Right now, I am in here as like an administrator, but I'm going to click view as a student. It doesn't change a whole lot, but there are just different modules here. You're going to start with an overview. I did want to show the final assignment. There's not a lot of back and forth with the facilitator of this course. It really is more independent study, but after you pick the 3 TIF categories to dig into, then you're going to use this My Students Transition map, and you are going to kind of work on a plan for a particular student. And I really like this assignment because hopefully when you go through this content, you are thinking about a specific class or a specific student, and you can kind of narrow in on what are the skills that are maybe a little bit underdeveloped and something we can work on together, and something that, I, as the teacher, can enhance in lessons to make sure that this student or this group of students can practice those skills. So maybe it's a new routine with a graphic organizer that you do every Monday or every Friday or whatever. You're going to incorporate your plan on how to work through those goals. And that's the final assignment that you submit to me, the facilitator of this Canvas course, in order to earn those CEUs. There are short videos in here. There's little quizzes, just content that you can read. Based on the 6 CEUs, it should take about that much time, 6 hours to complete, but you can do it in itty bitty pieces, right? So if you have PD time, a half day here or some time there, you can kind of be plugging away at the Canvas course in order to earn those CEUs. So I wanted to show that to you as a great new option. This is the same content as the Schoology course, and it's been updated and it now lives in the Canvas learning management system. So if you are thinking, oh, stuff that I have to do on my own, sometimes it's hard to be motivated with that. Maybe you're looking for something that's a little more synchronous, working with a group. Maybe this is for you. This is our ACES TIF Foundation's webinar series. The dates are at the bottom. It's happening in November, and there's going to be 3 webinars. So this is a synchronous event. It's going to be on Zoom for an hour and a half. We've got 2 really dynamic and knowledgeable speakers. I'm not any of them, okay? It's Heather Turngren and Stephanie Summers, people who have been working with ACES TIF for many years, and they're going to be able to dive deep into those categories. But the nice thing is they don't have to cover all 6 categories in one session. They have 3 sessions to work through it, right? And you'll be earning CEUs for however many of the webinars that you attend. So if it's an hour and a half webinar, you earn 1.5 CEUs per session. And I'm going to show you that the registration is now up for this event. So I'm going to go to the Atlas events page just by clicking on this link, which you'll have access to in the chat, I believe, and on the slides. When I click the events page, it takes me to this month, right? Because we know that the ACES TIF stuff is in November, I'm just going to navigate to that specific month. And I really like how Gail organized this ACES TIF webinar series. Here's the first session on the 1st of November. And if you click on that event, you can easily register for all 3 of the webinars if you choose. And I do always get questions like this, like, do I have to do all 3? Can I just do one? You'll see that there's a couple different days on there. So maybe like the Friday doesn't work for you, but you can only do the Tuesday. You can register for one. You can register for more than one. It really is up to you. And they'll all be recorded and you can access them later also. But just to show you how quick and easy it is to register, you're just going to click the link. And I have my information like auto saved, but it's just first and last name and email address, and you click register and that's it. It's an automated email that gets sent to you like within a minute or 2. And from there, you can add it as a calendar event on your Google or your Outlook calendar. So it's super quick and easy to register on the Atlas website, especially if you know when the date is, because you can go right to there. The other thing you could do is you could search for ACES or search for TIF or search for any other topic you're looking for. So I wanted to show you that. And the other thing I want to point out about this ACES TIF webinar series is it's meant to align with what's going on in the Canvas course. So the first session, there's going to be some overview, and our speakers will kind of talk up what you're going to see next in the Canvas course and what to expect at the next webinar. And so they're kind of like a companion webinar series. So hopefully it's going to help more people finish the ACES TIF Canvas course and just help you continue that journey through professional development. So we hope to see you there in the fall. Here's just a quick tip about adding bookmarks and favorites and then organizing them. I'm totally guilty of, I book everything under the sun and then it's like this ugly, messy pile of stuff. Every week or two, I go through and organize it and clean it up and get rid of things that I don't need anymore. But then when I do have time and I know, oh yeah, I wanted to read that article or go through that training, I know where it is and it's easy to get to. And that's just a major time saver for me. We're going to keep moving here. The next adventure you can have with ACES TIF is on YouTube. And if you're like me, you're on YouTube for all kinds of different reasons. Watching random videos, looking up movies and trailers and music and all kinds of stuff, looking at slime videos with my kids and stuff. But I'm not quite used to going to YouTube for professional training. And so I wanted to share this information here. Just like any other channel you might follow, you can subscribe to the Minnesota Adult Education Professional Development channel on YouTube. What you're going to find on the main screen, and we'll look at it in just a minute, is that the most recent videos that have been uploaded are at the top. So if maybe you registered for something, or maybe you heard about a webinar and you just didn't make it, but you know it was like pretty recent, go to the website and it's going to be towards the top, right? There's also a way to access training, and it's through the playlists, and we're going to look at that specifically. There is a link in the slides and in the chat taking you to the ACES TIF playlist. So this is just a collection of webinars that have been recorded and added to YouTube. The ones at the top are the most recent. So in the last 6 or 9 months, we've had 3 different webinars, and you can access the recording. So it's nice to kind of see, you know, how long some of these are. If you have time on your own to watch a recorded webinar and learn a little bit more about ACES TIF, that's great. But this could also be used for different types of collaborative training. Maybe it's a staff meeting, maybe it's professional learning time where you're with your work group and you know that you want to do more with ACES TIF. Maybe you could watch one of these webinars together and kind of process it all together. The other thing, I'm going to go back to the main page for, and I'm just going to turn off that video. Here's the main YouTube page for MN Adult Education Professional Development, where you can smash that subscribe button, right? Here's the playlist. There's tons more playlists. I just sent you to the ACES TIF one. There's also this search feature. Now be careful, because if you search here, you're searching within this page. If you search up top, you're just out exploring YouTube and who knows what you're going to find. But if you are looking for transition skills, a certain level of teaching, certain types of content, you can go ahead and click there and just narrow down the vast array of training that's on here. And sometimes just breaking it down in that just a little bit more can kind of help you tackle this type of training on your own. So make sure to favorite that MNABE YouTube channel so that you have access to that in the future. Here we go. We've got another ACES TIF resource that we can review. And this is the Atlas website. We're going to focus on key activities, events, and resources. I was on the earlier today Zoom where there was like a little quiz. Astrid was asking, where's the go-to place for training and events and resources? And everybody was writing Atlas in the chat. That was awesome. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper and look at the website together. So right now I'm showing the main page, and we're going to start with the first of those three categories. We're going to start with key activities here. And here's one of those GIFs we have for ACES TIF. When you click on key activities, there's all of these little icons that are colorful and bright, and they're all these different categories. But guess what? ACES is the first one, so it's easy to find. So yay, thank you very much, Alphabet, right? So here I'm going to click on that to enter the ACES/transitions key activities. Here we're going to see some of the things that we've already kind of looked at. You can go directly to the TIF. This is the TIF at a glance. You can also review the older, longer version of it. You're going to find information about webinars. Here's the ACES Foundations course. Some of these things that we've already talked about. So those are some of the key activities that are listed on the Atlas website. I'm going to click again on the logo just to come back to the main page. And I'm going to move from key activities over to events. So this should be review for everybody because we already kind of looked at this, right? This is taking you to a calendar view of all of the Atlas events that are happening. And it takes us to the current month we're on, but you can always navigate to any month in the future. And then there is another way to kind of view these. You can click list over on the right-hand side, and it just is presenting it in a different format. Might be easier to read or easier to understand this way. Otherwise, it kind of defaults to the month view. And then you can use that search tool, search for ACES TIF, search for math, search for low-level reading instruction, search for any professional development topic that you're looking for as a way to find your own training and adventure on here. Oh, there's one other thing that I want to look at. So I'm going to navigate back to the main page by clicking the Atlas logo. We went through key activities, events. Last one here is resources. When you scroll down, you're going to see those same icons that we saw before. It's bright, it's colorful, and guess what? ACES is right there at the top, easy to find. So I'm going to click on that, and let's see what resources are listed on that page. These are going to be things that are all familiar to you because we looked at them already today. But I wanted to point out a couple things on here. This says TIF 2.0 lessons. I'm going to view resource and even go ahead and open it. So when the TIF was updated in 2023 as part of that project, many lessons were created. This is a great, great resource. So if you click on this, it'll take you to a Google folder where you're going to see the 6 categories, right? And I'm just going to open up the first one, navigating systems. Here are 3 lessons at different levels that are targeted towards that category of navigating systems. So if you are kind of like, where do I start? What's a good way to integrate? You're looking for a certain level. This would be a great thing to check out. Let's maybe just see another category here. Effective communication. Here again, there's 3 different levels. So you can find something that, you know, it could be grab and go and you go through it exactly like it is in here, like a script, or you get inspired by it, or you take the pieces that you like and mix it up and make it work for your setting and your students. But it's just a wonderful resource that's on the Atlas website. I'm going to go back and show you one other thing. Here it's called ACES routines. One way, as kind of a basic way to start incorporating ACES TIF into your classroom is through the use of routines. So again, it could be just something that you practice with your students daily, weekly. It could be a graphic organizer. It could be researching a certain topic. But let's click I want to view ACES routines here, just so you can see how many different topics there are. And again, these are all resources for you to explore. Hey, maybe you want to do the same type of thing that somebody else did, and you can kind of take it and run with it. Or maybe you're just inspired by that to come up with your own, right? So that is what I wanted to point out on the Atlas website related to ACES TIF. There's two kind of other bonus things that I know we're kind of down to the wire here, and I'm going to try to throw them in.
Hey, Carly,
Yeah.
before we jump into our bonus things, we had some great
Yes.
things in chat.
Okay. Okay.
If it's okay, if we get
Yeah,
those in real
totally.
quick.
Yep.
So the first question that I thought was really important was, is it redundant to attend some of the webinars if I've done the online cohort or if I've done the Canva course? And so Marisa and I in chat were saying it might be good if you haven't looked at all 6 categories. So like to go to the categories that you didn't look at, but how do
Yeah.
you feel about like, is there any, like if I do one thing, I don't need to do something else, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, and I have an answer, but it's also in a way a non-answer because this is really your own journey. For me, if I just went through the Canvas course and I got out of it what I want to get out of it, I personally wouldn't sign up for the ACES TIF Foundations webinar. And I'm emphasizing foundations because it's going to cover the basics and it's going to be aligned with that Canvas course. There might be another option where you want to dig a little bit deeper, and maybe it is the lessons or the routines or another resource. But that's me. And I know other colleagues and teachers where maybe they went through the ACES course when it was in Schoology and it was 2, 3 years ago. And guess what? It's not like they've forgotten it, but if it's not front of mind, maybe a refresher would be a good thing. So I think, there's a lot of variables there. If you ever sign up for something and you feel like it's not a good fit, you don't have to continue with, the rest of the ACES TIF Foundations webinars. But, I would just encourage people to give something a chance. The other thing is if you would watch the webinar with colleagues and maybe, work together on it, and kind of process it together, that might be another good strategy where like maybe you feel like you have a really good understanding, but you can help others.
Great, I totally
So
agree. My other question that I saw in here that I thought was important is that you talked about how the online course is self-paced. Do we have a timeline, like we need to finish in so many months, or how do I know how long I have to work on that?
sure, yeah. So we around the fiscal year, the program year, so July 1st, we took the ACES TIF course and just called it program year 25 or whatever. So ideally you would finish it by the end of the program year. So that gives you 11 more months now. And I will send, as the facilitator of that course, if people are kind of have enrolled, but they haven't made much progress, I'll just send one of those friendly reminders about, remember you can get your CEUs, and here's what the final assignment looks like, and a little friendly nudge is all. But it isn't anything you have to finish in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, by the end of the school year or anything. And you can always reach out to me if you just need a little bit more time to finish up, but by the end of the program year would be perfect. Good question.
So those seems like the big questions that are in chat. If you have anything else in the last couple of minutes, feel free to put those in. But I'm really curious, Carly, if you could tell us more about some of these other options.
Okay, thank you, Amber. um, so I have a link here for Mighty Networks, which is a website that has online groups by certain topics We don't have a specific ACES TIF topic on there, but we do have one called Adult Career Pathways, ACP. I'm the facilitator for that group. And this is where I would post things related to ACES TIF, but also workforce, college, training, and many other transitions related topics. So the link that's being shared shows you how to enroll in that, and you can set it up where you just get a daily or a weekly notification of different resources, webinars, trainings, just lots of different information. And you can also kind of chat back and forth or have a dialogue about some of it on Mighty Networks. So I wanted to share that. And then you might not think it's really related to ACES TIF, but through Atlas, we have this amazing mentorship experience, which actually could be a really great fit for a teacher or a program that wants to do more with integrating ACES TIF. So the idea with the mentorship is it's not a one-off. It's not 2 hours where you're going to learn everything and then you got to go do it on your own. The mentorship is you're paired up with a mentor, you meet at days and times that work for both people, and you can have that personalized ongoing support that you need. And it could be for a transitions or an ACES TIF topic. Like, I want to start a new ACES TIF routine, and the mentor could help you on that. Just an idea. And the link for the application is available in the chat, and they're accepting applications all year round. The next one starts in February 2025. Real quick, in the last couple of minutes that I have, just as a reminder, professional development means you're on a journey and you want to be ready to kind of be asking yourself, is this a good fit? Should I try something different? I hope that you'll try something new related to ACES TIF and some of those resources that were shared. But if you do feel like you're hitting a dead end, or if you encounter that bear in the cave and you feel like this is it for me, I can't do this, I got to figure something else out, please reach out. I have my Hamlin email at the bottom. I would be happy to send you in the right direction or just give you any resources or encouragement that you need to continue this journey. And with that, I just want to say thank you and enjoy the rest of Summer Institute. And I hope you get as much fun and enthusiasm out of it as I do when I attend all these sessions by amazing presenters. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Carly.